What's up, film gang? I am Film Guy Max, and this is our channel. Gang, have you seen Jaws? Have you seen Sharknado?
Too many of them.
Have you seen Birdemic Shock and Terror?
Oh my—
Boy howdy do I have Boy howdy do I have a movie for you. It's called Mega Piranha. So I would argue it shares elements of all three of those movies, but the best way that I could compare it is Birdemic Shock and Terror, but in the water. And just so you know a little bit of what we're in for, I'm gonna show you the trailer.
I figured it out. It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't terrorists. It was giant piranha. Your fish food!
Couple of things. I feel like bad CGI can either completely take the charm out of a movie or add to it tenfold. I will let you decide which one of those this movie is. Look at this star-studded cast. Tiffany what? She thinks she's Zendaya. Paul Logan? As in the opposite of
My name is Retep, and I am evil.
I've made a minor, one-time, awesome judgment. What do you say, gang? You ready to check out this terrible movie? Too bad, we're doing it anyway. So we open up on a very orangey, yellowish landscape. They give us a nice little location text, Orinoco River. Even though the audio levels are bad, I'm glad that they still give us subtitles. We get these two people that I can only assume are a couple decide to take a swim. And of course, as with all underwater horror flicks, we get the quintessential shot underneath the water, looking up at their feet as they're about to become fish food. They also break rule number one when it comes to horror movies. If you want to make your monster scary, you probably want to hold off on showing it as far out as you can go, basically. They break that rule instantly, so we already know what we're up against here. So even though I don't know exactly where that river is, I can guess it's probably south of the US border, just because everything is tinted yellow. I will say, the movie's not really immersing me so far, but maybe it's my fault. Hold on, I'm just gonna change my environment real quick. I'll be right back, gang. There we go, nice and immersed. All right, we got our title sequence, and now we're cutting to more people on the same river, partying it up. Let's see what their deal is. Why is it only every other shot that the girls' tops are off? It's like they're trying to ignore continuity here. So we come to find out that these are US and Venezuelan politicians. I think they have some kind of secret agreement going on.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about politics right now.
Quiero un champaña. ¿Dónde está, cariño?
What is it with the TV documentary style speed ramps? So it doesn't take long for things to go completely south, and we see something rising out of the water. Bad CGI aside, this is unironically a really good way of showing just how big of a threat we're dealing with here.
What the hell is going on here? What the hell is that?
You can clearly tell that the boat is like barely moving, and everybody, like the cameraman is like, and you know, everybody else has to be like, oh my God, we're going overboard. So they wipe out everybody on this boat. Well, I hate it when the spirit Halloween is flooded. Blah. And we immediately smash cut to Los Angeles.
Fitch.
The main character's name in this movie is Fitch. Jason Fitch. So no, he does not just say bitch and then it goes to his title. This government official is essentially giving Fitch the rundown of what happened in the river in Venezuela and is asking him to fly down there and check it out for himself. Back on the water, on the boat with two more people who turn out to be two US scientists who are, I guess, studying marine life down there. Jesus Christ. So I guess we're just gonna meet everybody in the span of like 2 minutes. I hope you studied for the test because I'm gonna ask you halfway through who this guy is. They collect DNA samples from the scene of the crime, and they're kind of cluing us into the fact that they are aware that this has been happening before. Fitch flies in, and one thing that I will say right off the bat that I love about his character is that he wastes no time. Very much appreciated.
That boat that was destroyed this morning?
No comment.
If we don't do something in the next 24 hours, they're gonna grow and grow and grow.
I can't even tell which which part of this is the ADR, but one of them definitely is.
My name is Sarah Monroe.
I've been working with the ISF.
So it turns out that they're behind the genetic mutations of these piranhas, and they're only going to get worse. I'm sorry, but that sped up walk is exactly why I do these reviews in the first place. So now we get to meet Colonel Diaz, and we get to see a little bit of his personality and how he interacts with Fitch.
The criminals responsible for this will be brought to justice.
I love how his accent clearly is cutting in and out.
That crazy American scientist, huh?
That crazy American scientist, huh?
She has nothing to do with it.
Absolute nothing burger of a reaction shot. So they embark on a mission together, fly up in the helicopter, and go check out the crime scene.
When are we gonna land?
We're not gonna land.
I need to dive that river right away!
Anything to be done here will be done by myself.
So he essentially is flying him over the river for nothing. This is the equivalent of having a sibling or a friend who's like playing with a toy.
Oh, this is a great toy. Here we go.
And then you go, hey, can I see it? And they're like,
Yeah, here you go. You're seeing it right now.
it's like, no, idiot, let me see it. Because he does not believe that this was a wildlife attack. He believes that this was an explosion. So he's immediately flying them back and being like, you can go back to your country. So it seems like he is going to embark back to the US, but then he sees the politicians that were killed on the news.
Screw this.
So we get a nice little gear montage of him getting ready, putting stuff in his duffel bag, and then it zooms on his dick, and he goes to sneak out of the base and get answers. This whole montage feels like when a 10-year-old is pretending to be an action hero. Sorry, gang, I'm a little thirsty. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go grab some water. Oh, that's right. My water bottle's by my desk already. So he enlists the help of a local boatsman to be taken out to where the crime happened so that he can properly investigate.
If I'm not back here in 20 minutes, I want you to call on second thought.
Not a thought is going on behind those eyes. So he dives into the water, checks out the scene. This part bothers the fuck out of me because the water is both above and behind it. It messes with my brain. So he continues diving, and all of a sudden, he's ambushed. And this is where you'll see this is very reminiscent of the coat hanger scene from Birdemic Shock and Terror. So this is very important. He slices one of them open, and then the other ones immediately stop targeting him and start gnawing on each other. I genuinely had no idea that piranhas ate each other when they die. You know what? I have to just, hold on. Do piranhas eat each other when they die?
Yes, piranhas are opportunistic, largely scavenging fish that will eat each other.
Thanks, Clanker. After narrowly escaping killer fish, he quickly swims to shore.
It wasn't an explosion. It wasn't terrorists. It was giant piranha.
It's not an explosion. It's not terrorists. It's killer fish. And they're working for ISIS.
They reused this shot again. So Fitch decides to bring the fish back to the Colonel as proof.
Now what I'm gonna do is take our fish here over to our crazy American scientist friend. She helped design these things.
After leaving the Colonel's office and telling him what he's up to, kind of stupidly, may I add, he decides to bring the fish to the scientists for them to study further. We learn that the dam that he encountered earlier was actually keeping these piranhas from spreading. And I'm not 100% sure how that works, because didn't they just tear up an entire boat? But then not break through a measly dam? Are they allergic to wood? And this is where I actually really like Fitch as a character. He's part of the solution, not the problem. So he starts dishing out these, kind of reckless, but, albeit solution-y options.
Okay, fine, so let's put a wire in the water and electrocute him.
No.
And this lead scientist pisses me off because he just gives him the no and treatment the entire time.
Let's poison them or drop some acid in there.
No.
He's like, no, we can't do that. Oh, no, don't be silly.
No.
You suggest something then.
There's only one way to do this. We have to reinforce the dam with concrete slabs. We drain the estuary.
Oh, so Fish get bigger, so then dam get bigger. That's the solution. I just put a band-aid on the whole thing.
We'll suffocate. We'll drown them.
Am I correct in hearing that he said, we'll drown them? We'll drown the fish? I realize that they're genetically modified, but I feel like the average viewer is just not going to understand how mutated they are. They don't exactly say. They're just like, oh, they're getting bigger and whatever. This type of piranha gets bigger, can eat boats and people, and can be drowned.
No.
Politician man gives Fitch a call and says Colonel Diaz is up to something. I wonder the fuck why. Why did you go to him first and not the scientist that you initially believed?
24 hours, 36 hours, by 48.
I gotta hand it to this movie. It's very doomsday-ish. I feel like that makes the stakes a lot easier to raise. If they don't stop these piranhas in a timely fashion, they're going to basically envelop the entire globe and Mr. Frundles us all.
I'm coming with you. We'll take my car.
This is probably one of the worst day for night shots I've ever seen. I give it A for effort. You tried. Good job. Here's the gold star. They head back to the base, meet up again with Colonel Diaz, and try to convince him to be on their side to extinguish the piranha their way. While they're in the helicopter, he takes off and says that he's bringing them to a secluded inlet.
You're not gonna bomb them, are you?
Of course I'm going to attack them. I'm a soldier.
So Colonel Diaz takes it upon himself. At this point, I'm fine with it. It doesn't feel completely out of the scope of possibility that you could just blow them to smithereens and that's it. But you know, we still have like a solid hour of this movie left, so clearly it doesn't work. Let me get something straight. I hate watching bad movies where nothing happens most of the time, but there is a spectrum, and this movie falls on the complete opposite side of that. Everything happens all of the time. We cannot take breaks. Everything is happening, everything everywhere all at once. It's exhausting. This movie feels like it is the last 10 minutes of the third act for the whole fucking movie.
Would you say this is a helpful thing you do here?
Yes, of course.
This scene raises a very important question to me. Why genetically modify piranhas in the first place?
Okay, sir, we're ready to give the piranha their injection. This will make them bigger and eat people and...
I know that that's not the reason that they did this, but I don't feasibly see a reason that they have to fuck with the wildlife out here. Isn't that the whole point of most wildlife conservation scientists? Is that they're trying to preserve the ecosystem?
This facility is now closed!
Immediately after Colonel Diaz has neutralized the threat, he puts his foot down, says, arrest the Americans.
Arrest her!
They're under arrest. That's arrestada.
Get Fitch too!
What?
Get Fitch now!
Is their object permanence level fucking 0? So we get this classic story trope where they're now fugitives on the run, trying to solve the case and make everyone safe before they are arrested and can't do anything about it. So we stay on the two male scientists that we met before, and they start getting caught by the guards. They are held at gunpoint, and you might think that they would get arrested. Not quite. One of the scientists falls in, immediately gets dragged back out, and swapped with the guard. I love how they go back and forth struggling on whether or not they should help this guy that's technically against them. The way that they physically struggle with each other is hilarious. Oh, buddy, it sucks to be you right now. I wish I could help you, but I'm a little bit held back right now. You understand. The other guards catch up to them and do eventually arrest the two scientists, who are then interrogated by Colonel Diaz.
3 of you are conducting illegal scientific experiments.
Fitch once again infiltrates the base and rescues the scientists from the clutches of Colonel Diaz. Can we get back to the fish, please? Speaking of the fish, this is where they're actually starting to attack the docks and the buildings that lie near them.
They just grow and multiply, as if they were composed completely of stem cells from Sarah Selma's zygotes.
What the fuck did he just say? To the general audience, that does not mean anything. The fish start attacking him, and he's like forced onto the ground and just starts. We get more stakes raising dialogue, which again, it feels like it's reinforcing what we already know.
They'll be the size of a horse by the time they reach the mouth of the river. 8 hours after that, a rhinoceros. 4 hours later,
An elephant.
Gonna be like a cow, and then it's gonna be like an ox, and then it's gonna be like a great white shark, and then it's gonna be like a bus, and then it's gonna be like the Eiffel Tower. Got it. They're getting bigger.
Editor Max here. You remember that day for night shot that I showed you earlier of the car? They reused this crappy car shot again. So confirmed, it is day for night.
So they're driving through a certain section of town, and they get stopped by some guards. So you might be wondering, how is he going to pull the Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, you don't need to see our identification? License and registration.
Mira! Ahí están! Hang on!
So no lie, this car chase scene is actually kind of dope. So they come to a stop and Colonel Diaz is right on their tail. As the Piranha are starting to grow and spread, there's actually, conveniently, a naval ship right in their path. So Fitch and the scientists are going to try and intercept a signal to that naval ship to get them to fire everything that they have at these fish before they can cross. And of course, because, you know, we need some kind of conflict as to why they can't contact the boat right away. Turns out his communicator is dead.
Damn it, the battery's dead.
Suck on the battery. The acid in your saliva will give you 10% extra charge.
Suck on the battery? Can you picture like somebody out and about on the town? It's like, oh man, my phone's dead. What are you doing?
If I suck on the battery, the acid in my saliva will give it a 10% extra charge. Brain blast. Leaping lepton. Bazinga.
You don't surrender! I'll be forced to shoot you as spies!
I realized why this plot point angers me so much. The Venezuelan army using their resources to directly intercept the solution to the main problem that both of them are dealing with is exactly why I can't stand the military in Stranger Things 5. So thankfully, even though Colonel Diaz is like one step away from arresting them, they are able to contact the ship and have them open fire on these fish. They have not been stopped in the slightest.
Oh no!
What the hell is that?
It looks like water.
Abandoned ship!
A for effort. You tried. Good job. Here's the gold star.
So they come across more guards that are surrounded by helicopters, and they decide to intercept one so that they can take to the sky. And Fitch, of course, leading the charge, does not go stealth mode. I should just mention how important it is that when you're editing a fight scene, you can't just use punch and whoosh sound effects. You should also use like the grunt sound effects, like But the actors' grunt noises are just so funny to me. The fact that there's like a 1 second delay between the punch and the noise he makes.
Let's get to the chopper!
You guys come up with that line all on your own? The guards quickly give chase, and there's just one man's dead on the ground, just... At least half of these actors' paychecks were just them being asked to make weird faces into the camera. They're able to throw Colonel Diaz and his men off of their trail. They head one way, he heads another way. And the reason that they stole the helicopter in the first place is because they're trying to get to this second military base, I believe operated by the US.
If they decide to change direction, this island is right in their path.
I'll admit, I'm a little torn on the camera movements of this scene because it is probably the only scene in the entire film where people are just standing around talking to each other. And we cannot have a regular stand around and talk scene in an action film. So what do? We move the camera all around.
We have a lot of firepower.
Trust me, you don't have enough.
To their credit, it's not ineffective, but at the same time, it makes me want to puke. The fish are very, very close to reaching the Florida Keys now. So it's getting real serious because America is threatened. So Mr. Secretary, the politician from earlier, is now basically trying to tap into their nuclear arsenal to blow these things sky high before they can reach the Keys. But Fitch, knowing that exploding them doesn't do jack shit, is like, let me try one last thing. You guys remember how he like stabbed one of them earlier and that one corpseified and then the rest of them were like... He's gonna try and do that, but on a bigger scale. Meanwhile, on the Florida Keys, we get to see that there's already some military response to what's going on, but they've labeled it as a hurricane warning.
There has been a massive naval response. What they're saying is a hurricane.
If there's an actual coastal hurricane, does the military even respond to it? Like, what are they gonna do? Nuke the sky? Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, Americans would do that.
This is the MK-15, the most powerful handheld underwater cannon in the world.
If I had a product sponsor, could you imagine me introducing it like this man introduces this gun? This is state-of-the-art iPhone. Can hold 560 gigabytes of feet pics. Not that I would know anything about that.
Inside, this contains 6 frequency amplifiers. They mimic the Sarah Salmon's pitch for I Found Food.
Hold on, they can mimic a piranha's natural signals for I found food?
Just push the button inside to fire.
Why the fuck would they not use those to deter them in the first place? So they embark on this mission. They're a little bit too late though, because the piranhas do start jumping on shore and eating people and destroying buildings. Fun.
There is no hurricane. I repeat, there is no hurricane.
There is no hurricane, is there? Let's see who's really behind all this. Giant fish?
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for that one man's constant weird faces.
So they lower the helicopters as close to the water as they can and start diving in. Can we get a moment of silence for Mans that's been training his whole life for a mission like this? Getting the debrief on how to use this big gun. He flies into the attack zone, drops out, and then immediately...
Hey, Vsauce. Michael here. Come on in.
I'm ordering a nuclear strike.
No, sir. We can't nuke the Florida Panhandle.
Am I tripping, or would they not be able to talk if they have the scuba gear in their mouth? Like it should be... So as they're trying to attack the fish, they get, of course, intercepted by Colonel Diaz. And they very gracefully from the helicopter lower a line so that Fitch can climb aboard and face the final confrontation. Fitch haphazardly just grabs a flare gun. And then we have probably the most creative death in the whole movie. Y'all ever just...
Come on in.
Colonel Diaz is punched in the face by Fitch. He drops off the little I Found Food machine and he meets his well-deserved demise. So after an uninterrupted 2 minutes of them struggling with the fish to even land one single hit, they were finally able to land one, and this drives every single one of the fish from the shore back to the ocean. They tore apart one fish, and that is enough to lure all of them. What happens when that one corpse runs out? It's not going to satiate every single one of them. There's just no way.
I'm full. Let's call it a day, guys.
That's pretty much exactly what happens, or as much as I can theorize, because they just kind of fade to black as the fish corpse is being devoured. We get the powerful golden hour, everything is great, we did it sequence. Focus up, guys. Come on. This is the big hero shot. Focus up. There you go. So they did it. Yay. And of course, we get the most shoehorned relationship I've seen since Rise of Skywalker. And that's it. No expository dump, no nothing. And you know what? Again, kind of respect them for that creative choice. I never really liked writing conclusions in essays either. I kid. All right, gang, that's all I got for you. Like, leave a comment, let me know what you thought. What movie should I review next? Subscribe to join the film gang. If you don't, CGI giant fish will destroy your town and you will be chased by a fake Venezuelan colonel. Also, I have other videos and you might like them. Bye.